Hi everyone, I'm Dana Litwin again, and these are Tuesday tips for leaders of volunteers. So Erin, what are your most important Tuesday tips around getting uncomfortable and getting into that space of looking at things with a transparent and critical eye?
Yeah. Thanks for raising that. Because I really do think it is important. And for me, like I see, you know, you know, if we can do one thing in 2021 as a profession that will really make a difference, it is to get uncomfortable. And I'm not talking about social awkwardness, which
Right.
we're neither of
Oh,
us are strangers to.
super good at that. Check.
But I'm talking about, the kind of uncomfortableness that is really, it can lead to, it touches on a couple things. Like one, it's getting uncomfortable with each other, right?
Mhm.
And so, even for people like you and I that know each other well, that have spent time together, like we've got a professional relationship, a personal relationship, having sometimes, it's, like Professor Dumbledore said, that about Neville Longbottom, that it's even harder to stand up to your friends than it
Mhm.
is to strangers, right? And um, I think acknowledging is the first step that, we need to actually become uncomfortable. That is part of the weight of our privilege.
Mhm.
um but it's, to me, the idea of discomfort and uncomfortableness is, it's not just about conversations around social justice and equity and diversity and inclusion. I mean, it's also about innovation.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, you and I have been around the block, despite our perfectly unlined faces.
Yeah.
um and
Youthful countenance.
yes, and if we think back to some of the first conferences we went to, first workshops, the first conversations we started, participating in, there has been very little that's changed. We're still talking about a lot of the same stuff, right?
Mhm.
A lot of the changes that have happened, like technology, those were not things that we actively pursued. They were they
Just
were
occurred.
forced
Yeah.
on us, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of the changes that we've seen have been incremental, not transformational.
Right.
And even if I think about advocacy, right,
Mhm.
a lot of us like to do those very kind of like vanity metricy kind of things, like, oh, we'll share or like an IVMD post, or we might do like, fill out whatever the activity is, or take a picture or something like that. But like, it's not, very few of us are saying, yeah, I put my job on the line, which I
Mhm.
know, again, very often comes from a place of privilege.
Being able to
Yeah,
have that luxury to rock the boat that much or confront the
yeah,
system that much and still have some sort of safety net to catch you if you get
exactly.
fired.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But given the fact that, 90% of the profession is female, and of that, I don't remember what the latest stats that Toby had in her survey, but like,
Mhm.
let's face it, like, it's about 90% women and 90% white women,
Mhm.
typically, middle class. So
Yep.
so those of us that, that in the profession that aren't white, female, middle class, they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us. So it's really
Yeah.
time for us to do some of that heavy lifting. And for me, when I talk about discomfort and why I think it's so critical, it's because for me, it's inherently tied to leadership.
Right.
And I've never understood the perspective of people saying over and over again, like, well, I'm not at those tables and I need to ask for permission. Like, you are a leader by virtue of what we do, by
Mhm.
virtue of the nature of our work. It's great to have acknowledgement by other people, but you know if you don't believe you're a leader, then why would anybody else?
Yeah, just step
And
into it. Step into
yeah,
what you're already doing, or just acknowledge and wrap yourself in like, I've got the most head count of any department.
yeah,
Boom,
absolutely,
mic drop.
right,
Yeah,
right. and
it's like,
and and then, we could talk all about, using data to tell these kind of
Yes.
compelling stories and
Yeah.
all of this. But, to me, it's tied to leadership because, there's a privilege. Leadership is a privilege, but it also comes with sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so when we talk about the privilege of leadership, and then the sacrifice or responsibilities, I would say part of it is like leadership is a journey of self-discovery, self-awareness, and you have to become uncomfortable. You have to be able to look in the mirror and be like, ooh, like, oh, I like my eyebrows, but that hair maybe needs some work, right? And I don't feel that we're really digging in and having enough of these conversations, or those that are being led, by our peers that have the most to lose,
Right.
right?
Right.
And to me, it's not about getting to a place of perfection or where those flaws don't exist. Like that's a fictional place. It doesn't exist. It's really about the journey, like, of wrestling with those flaws, and getting to a better place, because our job, we are facilitators of community. We have so much more power than I think we realize, because we don't ground our work often in community enough, and
Right.
understand the connection between community engagement and volunteerism, right? We think about it as an administrative task. We think about it as, managerial processes and paperwork and stuff like that. And that's, never what it's been about. It's actually, and it's funny because with National Volunteer Week starting tomorrow, in Canada, we have all these, of course, all these great but sometimes trite sayings about the value of one, the power of many, and yet
Right.
we don't actually explore that power. We don't we don't always feel the weight, and we also don't carry the weight, I think.
Yeah.
That's why being uncomfortable is kind of my top tip for leaders and volunteers right now. Knowing the demographics of our profession, we have a tremendous opportunity because of the demographics we tend to represent, but also because of the nature of our work. We can be really, really important change agents in our communities. But we need to do the work. We need to
Yep.
get uncomfortable. We need to really critically examine. Nobody wants to say I'm a racist. Nobody wants to say I've done racist things. But the reality is you have.
You
As a
have. Yeah.
white person, you have,
Yeah.
and you do.
Yeah.
And that's, that's something that, because we're so nice,
Yeah.
and,
Especially in Canada, but kind of
yeah,
waspy white Anglo-Saxon culture in general, waspy culture in general can be, um, it's again, that's that gaslighting politeness surface thing. That's a
yeah,
deep in the United States of America, that puritanical colonialist
yeah,
enculturation that's multi-generational. But then somehow you all became even more polite. Like
yeah.
we're and sorry and
And boot, right?
I'm sorry about the harm I've done.
Yes, I'm sorry about being, yeah. So I think it's, and Canadians love, like, we love to pretend that Americans are the only ones with a race problem, right?
Nope. Nope.
This moral superiority, and it's bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think, we need to get uncomfortable on a lot of things, but that would be one of the most critical things that we can do.
Hmm.
Like I said, not just because of the demographics that we tend to represent overwhelmingly, but also because of the nature of our work in community organizations.
Yeah, totally.